Hey guys, I've been traveling for the past 9 months and today I want to share with you my step-by-step process for planning my trips, especially when I'm on a tight schedule, because of course you can travel day by day, like I did a little bit in Indonesia, but for instance in this second part of Mexico that I've got left, I've got a really short amount of time to do a lot of things, so I've had to really book things and plan things as much as possible. So the first thing I do is research. I research the country I want to visit. Obviously you have to have an idea of where you want to go first, and that may come from people who have told you about this country or this city or this place, or videos you've watched or blogs you've read, but the main thing is to know where you're going, so your destination. So once you've got that, it's all about researching more specifics. What does the town have to offer? What are you going to be doing there? What interests you? I'm generally guided by two things. The first thing is my own interest, what I like to do. For example, in Indonesia, I knew I wanted to go island hopping by Bali, like the Nusa Penida, the Gili Air and Gili Islands, because I really like the beach life. But I also like nature and animals and walking, so that's when I knew that I wanted to go and do my jungle trek up in Sumatra. So you just need to understand what your interests are, and from there you can really see what you're going to be doing in that country or that city. The second thing I base it on is my own research. For instance, watching videos. I like watching a lot of YouTube videos. I like reading a lot of blogs. So if I decide that I'm going to be going to Mexico City, then I look at a lot of blogs of what people are doing there, and from there I can see if that's something that appeals to me and what I want to do there. So this brings me to activities. What are you going to be doing in that place? Although it may be just relaxing by the beach, when you are traveling, you are usually seeking to see specific things, visiting temples, visiting jungles, seeing animals, seeing cultures, riding a scooter. I mean, anything can be an activity. Obviously, a lot of the activities you can't plan because it just happens spontaneously, or you don't even know they exist until you get there. That happened to me a lot in Indonesia. Honestly, you don't need to really, you can only have a little idea, but I wouldn't recommend booking anything because it's cheaper once you're there. But if you're on a tight schedule like me on the second half of my trip to Mexico, then it is good to see what exactly you want to see, so you don't waste your time in the days that you have there. As I'm doing my research, I normally write all of these activities down because they are things that I might forget later on. For example, when I was going to Ubud, I saw there was a lot of temples. I wanted to see waterfalls. I wanted to go to the monkey forest. I wanted to walk through the town. And then, for instance, in Mexico, I knew there was museums, palaces, parks. So it really depends on where you're going, what the activities are going to do, but these are going to define how long you're going to stay in that place. So how many days do I need to be there in order to do all the things that I want to do and see all the things I want to see? Which is very important for you to know in order to book your accommodation, if you have to book it because you're on a tight schedule or you like planning things ahead. I personally use Agoda as my booking website or app, because this is where I find the best deals, and to this date I haven't found any other place that offers better deals than Agoda. So I highly recommend Agoda. So accommodation is definitely the trickiest one because it's definitely the one that has more requirements. Firstly, I obviously need to see if it's within my budget. So I normally have an idea of how much I'm going to be spending per night on average in that city or in that country. For example, in Indonesia, it would have been $21 a night, and here it's $26 a night. That doesn't mean that I go for that higher rank, it's just that I know that the prices fluctuate. Ideally, I want to look for a place that is quite a bit below that mark, but if I can't find that, then I know what I can go up to. I need to be as central as possible because I'm going by foot. I'm not really going by taxis or anything else, and depending on what places, for instance Indonesia, there's not much public transport, and here there is more public transport, so I could move a little bit more with the colectivos and the buses, but it's always better to be more central or close to what activity you're going to do. If you want to be by the beach, then it's better to find accommodation close to the beach. Also, normally, if you're doing activities that are outside that town, the buses or any other companies that will take you there are going to be leaving from the city center or from the center of that place. Another reason for doing that is there will be more food options available for better prices than if you're in a place that's very secluded. Being more central just gives you more opportunities to do more things and to really enjoy to the maximum the place you're in. But most importantly, what I look for is a lot of reviews. That is my key point before I book an accommodation, because some pictures may be deceiving. They make it look like it's this really amazing place, it's got a pool and it's got a great price. But the moment you click on reviews and you see everything that people are saying, and they keep saying that don't go there, up to the 5th one, you should probably listen and don't go there. Depending on what country you're in, it might be important for you to be close to a bus terminal, to an airport, or to anything that's got to do with transport. But for instance, in Mexico, we've been traveling purely by bus. So we've really needed to look at being in a place that's close to the terminal. By close, I mean it could be half an hour walk, and that's fine. We've done that. But it's just, we need to think about the fact we're carrying our packs and we're going to be going from the terminal to our accommodation and from our accommodation to the terminal, because we are not paying any taxis. So that actually takes me to transport. How am I going to get to the place that I'm planning on going to? I leave this to the last step because most of the time you can find one way or another to get there. But sometimes you need to book your transport. It depends again in what place you are and what place you're visiting. Here in Mexico, I find that if you book a little bit in advance, even a week in advance, you can get better deals than if you do it on the day. Another thing to think about is how frequently do the buses come? If there is a bus or if there is a ferry or something, how frequently do they come, so you can make sure that you don't miss it? Is there another night bus? Because then you might be able to save on some money on accommodation. Here is the last step that I take, which is to actually take the leap of faith and book things. I start by accommodation to make sure that I've got my night sorted. Then if I need to, then transportation. And if you're on a tight schedule and you want to take some tours, then I would probably book those in advance. Let's say if you're staying just 2 nights and you need to get on that tour for the one specific day, then I would book the activities at the very end when I know I've got my accommodation and my transport all sorted. But depending on what country you're visiting, again, activities are best left to be done last minute, because otherwise doing it online will be much higher than if you do it face to face, and if you're up for it, try to get your price lower by haggling a little bit. So this is how I go on about planning my trips. This process takes me hours or days depending on what trip it is, because there's a lot of factors to think about, and when you are looking for the lowest prices, there's always a thing that makes you take a lot longer. You read a bad review, so now you have to start all over. Or the thing you thought was going to happen, it's not happening on that day. I mean, a lot of factors come in that end up taking you a long time. But this is what happens when you're budget traveling or when you're traveling full time. A lot of your time is spent on bookings and on looking at your next destination. But it's all worth it in the end. I hope you guys found this video helpful, and I will see you on the next video. Bye!